you know, without understanding the risk appetite and risk aversion, and specifically how that's being played out in the dollar, the Dow, and crude, it's very difficult to gauge then how far we could see follow through in a lot of the key pairs that I'm going to be watching. Again, the pairs that I trade have a tremendous relationship back to the US dollar, and that's where my focus usually is. So if I want to take, for example, we just looked at that strength in crude, and then look to see if there is a correlation back to the dollar Canada. Don't assume it. Let's go do that now. Just bear with me 1 second. Let me bring up those charts. I'm going to start off with a look at the Canada. So if the dollar Canada is respecting the strength in the Dow, the weakness in the dollar, and then also the weakness, the strength around the continuation of the uptrend in the crude oil market, I should be seeing what? I should be seeing weakness on the dollar Canada. And that is absolutely what's happening here. All those relationships are clicking, and the loonie is gaining on the very weak dollar. So now the question is, another series of considerations. We have the relationship, but now I got to look at that relationship within the context of the market trend here on the dollar Canada. Now the dollar Canada is arguably in an uptrend here. Not a strong one. Could be one that's kind of fresh or, transitional. So it's still in the making. So I think it's a very similar question now, which is, if I look at this chart and I see what the dollar Canada is doing, is this right here going to be a level at which the bulls step up and support the dollar Canada at the 34 EMA wave? The continued strength of the loonie is absolutely dependent upon continuation of strength in the Dow and in crude oil. And continued weakness, I think this is even more important, in the dollar index. So, and the reason I mention the dollar index is the crude oil market has really done nothing to strengthen the loonie within the context of this uptrend. It's been really just a non-factor when you look at how long we've seen an uptrend here, and that we have not seen the weakness on the dollar Canada representing the loonie's strength. And a lot of that reason is because of the dollar. So here, this is really very much, I think, a dollar play. Yeah, the crude oil market helps, and yeah, the risk appetite shown on the Dow helps, but this is very much, I think, a dollar weakness play. So it's going to be very key as to how long the dollar will continue lower, and also if the loonie can continue to benefit from strengthening against the dollar and maybe catch on to that crude oil uptrend. We'll see. A lot of ifs there, but this is a market that has not been at all really clicking with its crude oil, with its commodity personality. The comm dolls are split personalities. On one hand, they have this relationship back to the dollar index, of course. Okay, we don't want to forget that. They have this relationship back to the dollar index. But on the other hand, the comm dolls also have a relationship back to their commodity currency part of their personality. And that commodity currency personality, the link back to crude, has just completely been thrown out the window here. So that's something to keep in mind. Has the Aussie been doing the same thing? Yeah. And this has been an Aussie losing ground against the dollar despite commodities that have been, well, crude oil, I should say specifically, that's been relatively strong. The Aussie, I think, in a lot of ways, is struggling with the overall weakness in commodities. So don't forget these connections, okay, gang? Don't forget the way these markets all connect the dots.